Good evening, and welcome to the Mosquito Fire Information Community Meeting for Saturday, September 10th. My name is Nathan Judy, Information Officer for California Interagency Incident Command Team 5. I will be your facilitator for tonight's meeting. This evening, you will hear from members of the Unified Command Team. After the formal briefing, we will address questions submitted earlier by email, and one submitted in the chat we will try to get to in the chat or after the meeting. To kick it off this evening, we are bringing out Operations Section Chief for California Team 5, Ernie Villa.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Ernie Villa here. I'm planning ops for Team 5. So currently, I'll give a kind of a brief update on things, as well as kind of what, from kind of the beginning of the start of the fire, kind of where we're at now. So point of origin for the fire started off down here in Oxbow. It's currently under investigation. The start of the fire happened on September 7th. The fire grew pretty rapidly into what it currently is now. The fire is currently, most of the fire's edge is currently pretty active here. All the fire's edge up here along the east side of the community of Roseville remains pretty active. As you kind of continue north around the northern part of the community here, crews are going direct with hand crews, dozers, and engines to pick up the fire's edge direct as much as possible where the terrain will allow them to do so. As they continue north, they're going to take an indirect action there just because of the terrain features. They will have contingency lines that come out to the north here heading northbound that'll connect along Chicken Hawk Road heading northbound. The fire still remains pretty active here on the north end of the fire. We did get some reprieve with some of the weather that we've had, but the fuels conditions are still pretty volatile at this time. As we continue north here, the fire east of Chicken Hawk Road remains very active. Crews are working that edge now, going north to stay out in front of the main fire there, putting in indirect line as they continue north there. As you move further out towards the northeast end of the fire here, the fire still remains fairly active. It's a more remote area of the fire here. We do have crews and resources looking at indirect lines that will be coming across the 13 road down out towards the Mosquito Ridge Road. From there, they're going to continue to work out towards the east here, working their way out indirect out in front of the main fire here. All this fire's edge continues to remain pretty active, and they'll be working out here out in front of the main fire trying to put in indirect line. As you move out here towards the east-southeast end of the fire here, very active fire front. As you come down through the southeast side of the fire, crews are working to come up indirect out of the Swampy Meadows Reservoir, coming up towards the northeast, connecting existing fuel breaks that currently exist in this general area up towards the north to connect it from the crews coming down from the northern end. As you come around the bottom end of the fire here, we have some indirect lines that are proposed coming out of Pilot Creek. As we come out of Pilot Creek, we'll look at trying to come back around the southeast end of the fire back over towards the Wentworth Springs Road, coming up through the network of roads where the fire is currently holding with a direct hand line and dozer line along the south end of the fire here. As the fire got up on approached the Volcano Road, the crews were able to take aggressive action to stop the fire along the Volcano Road currently it's holding. They've been able to come out towards the west along the Volcano Road, and they're looking at coming off towards Buckeye Point back into the American River. They're making good progress. They still have quite a fight on their hands, but they're making good progress coming out towards here, and the fire activity will dictate how they continue to move forward.
Thank you, Ernie. I appreciate that. Next up, we're going to have our resource advisor, our air resource advisor, which is going to be Lee Tarnay. Lee?
Good evening. I'm Lee Tarnay, Air Resource Advisor for the Mosquito Fire. And my job here is sort of like the IMET. We're dispatched to, we come from the Interagency Wildland Fire Air Quality Response Program, and we come to these fires like the incident meteorologists dispatched for a couple weeks to help forecast smoke and help guide you as to where the smoke is going to be and a little bit about how to avoid it. So far during this fire, we've had some pretty crazy large emission numbers for our daily emissions, and most of that smoke, there hasn't been a lot of wind on this fire. In the past week, it's been mostly just driven by the fuel and topography, and a lot of the most intense smoke impacts have been basically in the sort of corridor from below the fire in the foothills and even towards Folsom, and then above the fire all the way over towards Reno and Carson City, and then traveling along the foothills to the north and south. And as we transition this weekend into a pattern where there's a little bit more of a consistent and more steady southwest wind, we're getting more of a pattern where we're getting that wind pushing the smoke up north along the foothills and over towards, as we see this evening, towards Truckee and Tahoe City and Reno. So we're getting a slightly different pattern now, and I have a tool, and we, as Air Resource Advisors, we have a tool that we put out, a one-page outlook to help you guys understand what that pattern and what these different conditions mean for your area and during the day, both today and tomorrow, and that's called the Smoke Outlook. You can find that Smoke Outlook at fire.airnow.org, and any place where there is a smoke outlook, there's a little box drawn and with a little exclamation mark there, and it'll link you right to the smoke outlook. And really the point of that outlook is to give you guys a heads up as to when and where we're going to have heavy smoke so that you can minimize your exposure by avoiding it, either by getting out of that area or filtering or all of the different things you can do to mitigate your exposure and reduce your exposure. Those are outlined in some of the links that are in that outlook at the bottom. The Smoke Ready site, for example, is one of those links at the bottom of that, and you can hit that and find all the things you can do for your particular situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Appreciate that. Next up, we're going to bring up from Placer County Sheriff's Office, Lieutenant John Barnhart.
Thank you. As far as evacuations are concerned, we are still holding evacuation orders for Forest Hill proper and the Todd Valley area. We've expanded orders today to zones 21 and 22. So if you have the link or want to refer to it in our social media posts or go to placersheriff.org, you can do so to find the map with the new zones. Zones 23 and 25 have been put under evacuation warning, and that is in case the fire does spread. We want to make sure that everyone is ready. So again, please, we appreciate your patience and endurance through this, and please know that we're working very diligently with fire to make sure that these zones are patrolled. While evacuated, we had numerous deputies from our own agency and from other agencies wide that continue to patrol both day and night to ensure that those areas are secure. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Next up, we're going to have from El Dorado County Sheriff's Office, Sergeant Alex Story.
Thank you. My name is Alexander Sori with the El Dorado County Sheriff's Office, and I'm the Public Information Officer. So to start off, I'll talk a little bit about staffing. We have currently 13 EDSO, or El Dorado County Sheriff's Office, members dedicated to the fire, and then we have 28 mutual aid, so a total of 41 officers dedicated to the fire. So far, we've made 5 arrests within the evacuation zones. These arrests were people committing crimes in that area. For more information regarding maps or anything that we're going to push out in terms of information, you can refer to our county websites or our social media pages. Also, if you're interested and you haven't done it yet, you can get registered for evacuation warnings, and that is at ready.edso.org. We'll talk about this map I have here. So if you look at this map, you can see that this is a fire area. Now, it's not necessarily exact, but this is a general area. The red zone here is going to be the order, and then the yellow is going to be warnings. So currently right now in the warning zone, we have Cool, Garden Valley, Slate Mountain, Swansboro, and Stumpy Meadows. And then order evacuation locations are Georgetown, Volcanoville, and Quintet. For evacuation shelter information, just to remind you, we have, for the human shelters, we have Cameron Park CSD and then Green Valley Church. And for the animal, we have Diamond Springs Shelter, we have the Murrieta Equestrian Center, and then Flying M Ranch. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant. Appreciate that. Next up, we're going to bring up our agency administrators.
Hey, good evening, folks. Jeff Marcellet from the El Dorado National Forest. And it's my great privilege this first night, this first virtual community night, to introduce you to all four of the agency administrators for the fire agencies that are responsible, along with the Sheriff's Department, for the fire. And I'll start with furthest to my left, Chief Brian Estes from Nevada Yuba Placer CAL FIRE Unit, and his counterpart north of the Rubicon River, Acting Forest Supervisor Matt Jedra on the Tahoe National Forest. Immediately to my left is my partner on the south side of the river, Chief Mike Blankenheim from the Amador El Dorado Ranger Unit of CAL FIRE, and of course I'm Jeff Marcellet, the Forest Supervisor for the El Dorado National Forest. Let me begin tonight by just saying thank you for being with us. It means a lot for us to have you online making time to get the accurate information from our incident management team. And thanks to the incident management team for mobilizing quickly to come here and help us, and the SAC regional team that came in before Incident Management Team 5 to help prop us up during the initial attack. I'd also like to put a heartfelt thank you to the firefighters who have been valiantly fighting this fire on the line. They've been in dangerous conditions over the last several days, and they have had a heck of a firefight, and you'll hear that over the coming weeks, the harrowing stories and the things that happened on the ground. A couple more thank yous. Our communities have been unbelievable. The outpouring of support, the understanding and the patience for not having all the answers all the time, and most importantly, your desire to help us help put this fire out. It's deeply appreciated, and it means a lot to our firefighters to know that you're behind them. The last thank you is all the cooperators. I can't even begin to name them all, but in an incident like this, it takes a lot of key folks coming together to try to not just put the fire out, but manage power and water and roads and evacuations and animals and all kinds of things that happen in calamity. So we were introduced as the agency administrators, and you might wonder, what is an agency administrator, and how are they different from, say, an incident commander? In essence, the four of us share our responsibility with the incident commanders. We all are local and have responsibility over the land base that's affected by this fire, whether it's from a state responsibility or a federal responsibility. It's our jobs to uphold the tenets and mission of our respective agencies, and we work to harmonize those every single day so that the firefighters on the ground can go fight the fire. Now, in a large incident like this, we delegate those responsibilities to the incident commanders so that they can make sure to focus on the health and welfare and safety of our firefighters while they progress through the evolutions of dealing with a large incident like this. And we solve policy issues and solve funding issues and solve human resource issues and all the other things that go into a big incident like this. So you're going to get to meet our incident commanders, some of the most skilled firefighters in the world, and we're lucky to have them here. And one or more of us will be at virtually every one of these community meetings to answer questions. So thanks for the time tonight. We appreciate your patience, and we're glad that the team has come to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that. Next up, we're going to bring our incident commanders up and have them talk to you.
Good evening. My name is Dusty Martin, one of the Unified Incident Commanders. And standing here with me tonight is Rick Young, who's the Incident Commander for California Incident Management Team 5, Josh Barnhart with the Placer County Sheriff's Department, and Jim Hudson with CAL FIRE. This incident is a unified command incident between both agencies, and that means that we stand shoulder to shoulder and walk through this incident together. So a couple of things for you tonight is, so currently our acreage on the fire is 33,754 acres, and we have a total of 1,792 personnel assigned to this fire. This fire started in some extremely rugged and challenging terrain that we've had, and it's in some of the steepest river drainages that we have between two counties. And to add the complexity is we have multiple counties that are separated by the river drainage. Your firefighters that have been out on the ground have been in one heck of a firefight for the last couple of days, in amongst structures and the communities, and then in that rugged terrain, not to mention the massive heat wave that we've had over the last week when this fire started. One of the things I want you to know is that our number one priority is life and property. With that, that means public and firefighter safety is our top priority. We know that we have folks that are evacuated from their homes, and we do not take that lightly. We are doing everything we can to get the incident mitigated, to get you back into your homes. A couple of things that I do ask is we want to make sure that it is safe. Most of you in the different counties have been evacuated in the last couple of years, and we understand the toll that that takes on you. We want to make sure that it is safe to do so when we get you back into your house. The last thing that we want to do is have to re-evacuate you again. So every day we are having meetings that are looking at the repopulation to get you back into your homes. And I want you to know from a heartfelt that is a top priority, and we are working on that diligently. As we go through the weeks, understand that you're going to see multiple agencies. We are here together. Doesn't matter the patch, we are here to mitigate this emergency to the best of our abilities, quickly, safely, and as efficiently as we can. Thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you, Incident Commanders. Next, we're going to go into our question and answer period from some of the questions you submitted online this evening. First up, we're going to bring back Ernie Villa, our Operations Section Chief.
Good evening, everybody. I had a question here. I misspoke earlier. I wanted to make a correction that Forest Hill was the community at risk that I was speaking to earlier. I want to apologize for that. And then Swampy Meadow is the correct terminology for this general area, and I will continue to improve in that area to make sure that I can provide you the best information. Another question I had here is how solid is the fire line along Volcano Road? So currently we have a lot of investment down here. You could see the hash marks coming across here is a dozer line along the ridge line. So we've done a lot of investment here. So far, this fire is holding. There is a lot of heat along this line, so the work's not done. Even though the line's in, there's still a lot of work to hold that line and cool that off till we can get it to a point where we can show it contained. So we have a lot of investment down here. Tactically, this is the most favorable ground for the folks down on the ground operationally, and they have a good plan coming out to the west here to try to lock this fire off and tie it back into the American River. I think like the IC spoke earlier, this ground is very unforgiving. Some of this ground is impenetrable, very challenging ground. We have some of the most talented firefighters out here trying to extinguish this fire for you. We have a lot of investment. This line is pretty solid. Over the next few days, as we can, we'll show containment in here, but there's a lot of work that has to go into making sure that this is extinguished to the to the extent that we could say that we could show it contained. As you continue down here, we have pretty much dozer line direct edge all the way out towards this main portion out here in the Volcano Road. So I think that's pretty solid. Weather, a lot of things can dictate changing that. So we're just going to keep that. We have a lot of folks out here. They'll maintain presence out there until we feel safe that we can show it contained. And then we'll continue to show presence out there until we feel that it's safe to slowly downstaff, which is nowhere in the future. Why are dozer lines so far out from the fire's edge? A lot of times we might have the best plan like we do here on the Volcano Road, but we have to have a contingency plan to fall back on should that line not hold. So we have other lines out here identified further back off. We call them contingency lines. They're places where we could fall back in case the fire does cross the line that we intended to use for stuff that's outside of our control there, like weather and Quintet update. We have a huge investment down here in Quintet. We've got dozer lines on the north side of the community of Quintet. This piece right here has a lot of firefighters in here trying to pick this fire up direct as possible to keep it from continuing south into the community of Quintet. So we have a lot of investment down here. We're still not out of the clear here. We're going to continue to maintain a heavy presence down here until we can show containment and continue to mop up and secure this edge to where it's safe to eventually repopulate that area and allow all of you to return to your residence. That'll be the last question. Turn it back over.
Awesome. Thank you, Ernie. Really appreciate you getting up there and answering some of the questions we're getting online. Next, we're going to bring up from Placer County Sheriff's Office, once again, Lieutenant John Barnhart.
We have 3 questions here. What zone is Applegate? And Applegate has not been designated as a zone yet. You are in the clear. Someone asked the status of Hillcrest Mobile Home Park. And as far as I know, Hillcrest is fine. Everything in there is fine right now. And then when will Forest Hill Road reopen? Good question. It's a matter of, again, security and keeping the zones that we have evacuated clear and safe for the firefighters to continue to do their job. So for the time being, Forest Hill Road will remain closed. Again, if you need anything, please dial 211. That will bring you to the directory. The phone tree will take you right to the Mosquito fire. If you need anything or have further questions, please dial that number. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Next up, we're going to bring back from El Dorado County Sheriff's Office, Sergeant Alex Sorey.
Thank you. I have 3 questions here. The first one will be, will Stumpy Meadows be evacuated soon? That's hard to say, and the answer is I don't know. What we'll do is we work with fire, and we remain in contact with them, and if they notify us that we need to evacuate, then that's what we'll do. But until then, I don't have an answer for that question. The next one is approximately when can Georgetown expect to return home? The answer to that is when it's safe. So we continue to evaluate with fire how things are going and what's going on with the fire. And as soon as it's safe, that's when it'll happen. But I don't have a time frame or a date for you. And the third, any homes lost in El Dorado County, Georgetown, or Volcanoville? The answer is I don't have an answer to that. We have to wait for the damage assessment team to go in there once it's safe, once again. So when it's determined it's safe, the damage assessment team can go in, and then we'll have answers for you on that. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Sergeant. That's going to conclude the briefing for this evening. We will be continuing these meetings every night, the same time, 7 o'clock, on the El Dorado and Tahoe National Forest Facebook page, as well as CAL FIRE and our YouTube account. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for joining us this evening. We will be answering the questions that we didn't get to tonight on the chat. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.